Hi. This past summer, I did something I never thought I would do. I opened a floating peep show. You know, where you pay money to look through a little window at people without their clothes on? Yeah. I never thought that I would ever surrender to being an artist. I had a lot of shame around it. I was afraid that I wouldn't make enough money, that I didn't actually have any ideas of my own, and that I wouldn't be doing enough with my life. And I was also hung up on this totally flawed belief that all children not only have the capacity, but should live a life that is better than their parents, as in wealthier and more professional. Thank God I finally figured out that that's not true. The planet can't even support that kind of social mobility. And so, I've allowed myself to become more like my parents instead of better than them. And in my case, growing up queer on the US-Mexico border at the tip of Texas, by the water, with a Chilean librarian mother and a good old boy marine biologist father, has left me rich with skills for navigating cultural complexities and the ocean. I use boats in the water to come into direct contact with that place where the social and physical realms intersect. I'm looking for openings in the way we as a society order space. So how does the water help with that? Because water is constant motion. We can't own it. It's an undefinable, rent-free space under maritime law, which somehow upholds this inherently natural notion that living beings have the right to at least temporarily own the space that their physical body's occupying. And also, they have a right to a freedom of movement. Somehow, it feels like the social order of land seems to forget about these basic rights. And so, water keeps things in perspective in this way. It requires a certain kind of participation, an embracing of its temporality. And this constraint is where I find the very material of my creativity. The place where I've found room for formal considerations of things that just do not have direct outlets in our political reality. This past summer, I wanted to have a conversation about the changing city of San Francisco. So I did that by opening a floating peep show. It was the most natural thing I could do in the face of the whitewashed, predictable, suburban, lifeless, flattened reality that is displacing the very texture of our city. Working class people, queers, people of color, artists. But what really tipped the project into motion was when two clubs, culturally rich in queer and radical history, shut down within 6 months of each other. The first was the Lusty Lady, the nation's only worker-owned unionized peep show. The dancers and the workers literally ran the club for themselves. And then there was Esta Noche, a celebrated Latino gay bar located in the Mission District, the Latino neighborhood in San Francisco. With places like these finding it harder to survive on the land, I decided to reopen some iteration of them on the water. The floating peep show was made of 4 30-foot old sailboats that were rafted together. I hired dancers from the Lusty Lady and drag queens from Esta Noche to perform inside of the hulls. Most of them had come of age in these clubs, developed their sexual and gender identity within the walls of these places. They were a powerful and diverse collection of people, each of them individual and multidimensional. Over the course of 4 nights, my sailor friends and I transported over 600 audience members in small inflatable boats to the floating peep show, and most of them had either never been on the water, never been in a boat, or never been to a peep show. It was a completely impossible task. The boats broke every single day, and I was afraid the entire time. But I wanted to make an opening in the world so much more than I wanted to be afraid of things falling apart. I wanted to believe that it's possible to take a risk like this, to approach the world with familiarity, to be that thing out on the water that looks like a portal, a tear in social order, proof that another world is possible and probably already here. The success of the project, though, is very simple. We gained a confidence that we could converse with our changing environment on our own terms. Even though we have no idea what will come next, we found that we're not alone in our eroding urban landscape. This work that I do with the water is about a particular kind of survival. It's an exercise in confrontation and change, in loving a particular shape that the world makes, and in the same breath, watching it die and come into another shape again. Thank you.
Think about. So nobody was killed?
Nobody was killed.
No drowning?
Nobody drowned or got hurt, just one fight with an angry drag queen.
Come on, that's par for the course.
I know.
Everywhere you have an angry drag queen.
It's true.
Just, I'll dress up and we'll meet later and I'll hit you.
We'll work it out.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.